It's Bill from Suffolk in England here. Please join me as I convert an ex-military defender and take her on trips to interesting countries around the world. Enjoy the trip. Over the next couple of days I continue my journey south. On the first day, heading out of Corte, going down south over the Col de Vivario and ending up south of Ajaccio at a place called Propizio. And then on the following day, heading off down the coast and ending up at a beautiful little seaside village called Campo. Leaving Corte, I decided to look up a little mountain track which looks very interesting. The first thing I come across is what appears to be an old-fashioned narrow gauge railway. Heading on up the track, there are some beautiful mountain streams and some stunning views. And I really love some of the little flowers we find growing wild alongside the mountain tracks. There are, of course, the usual signs giving a list of what you're not allowed to do. I think it'd be much simpler if they had a single sign saying "Interdit s'amuser." You're not allowed to enjoy yourselves. As I ascend the col, or the mountain pass, I pass the snow line. I decide to do a little drive along a snow-covered mountain track. The narrow tires which I run quickly cut through the snow, hitting the ground underneath, and I get great traction, so there's no problem. After my little drive, I'm descending to rejoin the road and to continue my journey south. And after a great drive, we have now arrived in Campo. Starting in the lovely little seaside village of Campo, I'm going to wend my way down towards Bonifacio on the southern tip of Corsica, travelling both on-road and off-road. I take an off-road track near the village of Sarteni, but I'm not quite sure if it goes through, if it's going to peter out, so I stop to take a look. The Land Rover may look bogged down, but I assure you it isn't. I've just stopped for a minute so I can walk ahead to look at the track. We continue on upwards, no real problem. In places, the track gets quite difficult, a little bit technical. But again, we're equal to the challenge. Finally, I'm over the top and I can descend down the other side towards the road. As ever, Corsica is full of visual delights and surprises, and the wildflowers are simply fantastic. We're now down at sea level again and getting closer to Bonifacio. From the road I see a very interesting beach below me, and I decide to go and have a look. As ever, the spoil sports try to get in the way, but that's easily dealt with, isn't it? It's called Rockapina Beach, and it doesn't disappoint. It's a windy little place, as you can hear. Almost completely deserted, although there's a group of youngsters on my left who are playing with their mobile phones, completely oblivious to these surroundings. They haven't got a clue. I've now arrived in Bonifacio, at the extreme southern end of Corsica. It overlooks the Straits of Bonifacio between Corsica and Sardinia. This is a notably perilous marine passage, and a number of shipwrecks have occurred here, the worst of which was the loss of the French frigate Semilianti, which foundered during the Crimean War with the loss of nearly 800 lives. This is the entrance to Bonifacio harbour, through which the pleasure craft and the regular ferries have to pass. As I was coming out of the old town, I followed a deviation sign which took me in some very narrow side streets. You can see how narrow they are for this vehicle. Indeed, I didn't manage to film the tightest squeeze I was in, where I had about 1 centimetre clearance above the roof rack. I'm now at the bottom of the street, doing a 6-point turn to the right, under quite a low arch. Thank God I've got low range, otherwise I'll be burning the clutch when reversing up the slope. My disc handbrake is also a decided advantage in this situation, since it holds the vehicle much better than the standard Land Rover drum handbrake. It's getting towards dusk and I need to think about somewhere to spend the night. After a certain amount of searching, I find this deserted little beach not too far from Bonifacio. Just look at this sunset. Isn't it fantastic? There's a little clearing in the Maquis about 100 metres from here, and I think I'll park up there for the night. So this is where I spent last night. I'm in the Maquis near Bonifacio. The Maquis is beautiful, beautiful wild scrubland, ideal hiding place, and you can well understand why it was used so much by the French resistance in the last war. I'm also very close to the sea, and I was sleeping at night to the sound of the waves lapping on the shore. Couldn't be nicer. We're very close to Sardinia here, and indeed, funnily enough, my mobile phone is picking up an Italian signal. Overall, the trip has gone very well. The Land Rover has been absolutely great, and my camping arrangements have gone very well. I couldn't really ask for more. The trip's coming to an end. Today's going to be my last full day of touring. Tomorrow I go back to Bastia to get the overnight ferry back to Toulon, and then the long haul across France and back home. For my routing today, I'll head up the coast as far as Porto Vecchio. I'll then head inland, going through some nice little mountain towns such as Ospedale and Zonza. I'll climb up over the Col de Bavella before dropping down to the coast again, where I hope to spend the night. As I drive along my route, there's the usual mix of some absolutely stunning views and a few offbeat ones as well. And surprisingly, for a rich country like France, there's a hell of a lot of abandoned property just crying out to be restored. I do one last off-road trip, complete with feral pigs, of which there are many thousands in Corsica. Nothing too technical today, but quite scenic. I come across a small memorial to remind us of the oft forgotten fact that the liberation of France started in Corsica in September 1943 and not in Normandy in June 1944. And so I head up to the Col de Bovella at 1200 metres with stunning views on the way up. And at the top there's the statue of Notre Dame des Neiges, or the Lady of the Snow, with messages of hope and of supplication pinned to the base of the statue. I came down from Bovella, hitting the coast at Solenzara. I didn't much fancy staying there, so I came up the coast until I found a quiet little place called Travo Beach. I sat around for an hour or so. Didn't seem to be many people around. We came to dusk and I decided that, well, maybe I'd stay there for the night. But look at that sunset. Isn't it fantastic? So this is it. I just spent my last night here. I found an absolutely fantastic place to stay. A completely isolated beach. Had it all to myself. Haven't been disturbed. Was sleeping to the sound of the lapping waves. Couldn't be better. I feel I rather beat the system. There was indeed a height barrier on the way in, but it was open. I just hope I don't find it closed when I try to leave. I'll pack up the camp in a leisurely fashion, make my way over to Bastia, wander around town for a bit, and then take the evening ferry. Driving towards Bastia and the usual interesting sights. Wildflowers as always. An abandoned nightclub. And this guy fishing. Well, I hope he has a successful day. All too soon I'm in Bastia, at the ferry port, and loading onto the ferry. And it really is bye-bye Bastia. I do hope to be back again one day. And here we are at Toulon once again. I've got nearly 2 days hard driving in order to get home.